Could I get a brief word with you, Alex?
I got to get up there and give a speech, but I'll talk to you after or right in between.
Okay.
Are you live streaming?
Not
right
live,
now?
no, just recording.
Cool looking. I like those machines.
Yeah.
All you guys, how's everything going? You're known as Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. You are Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. Look, Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. Thank you, Chuck E. Cheese. Chuck E. Cheese the Rat doesn't like running for it. Chuck E. Cheese. Chuck E. Cheese. Chuck E. Cheese. Chuck E. Cheese. You're Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. From now on.
I think you can beat Alex Jones in a steamroller competition.
You are now Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. You're going to edit together like you always do. You will now be known as the new meme Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. Enjoy yourself. I want you to take away that I get that you're a fake comedy show trying to destroy the truth and that we're here exposing you. We don't give you serious discord back. You are Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. Now, that's it. I'll talk to you later. I have to introduce this live show. You want to go on stage with me right now?
I mean,
Okay, are we rolling live
It
online?
would be a privilege. Let's do it. Let's do it. It would be a privilege to go on stage.
Will you do an animatronic dance with me?
I mean, no, but I would love to go on stage with you.
All right, if you go outside and sit back there and are good and eat your cheese and have your brain force, in a little while, we'll let Chuck E. Cheese the Rat, the condescending, comic that poses as a journalist, we will allow the teleprompter reader
I just want to ask you a couple
to enter into the real world.
and more importantly, apologize. If you let me do that on stage, I'll do that.
You are a childhood nightmare to me as the anatomic rat. To see the anatomic rat alive in my face.
I'm your nightmare?
Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. Chuck E. Cheese the Rat.
I have
Chuck
a
E.
nickname
Cheese the
from
Rat.
Alex Jones.
Chuck E. Cheese the Rat.
Alex Jones
Chuck E.
gave
Cheese-
me
yes,
a
He is
nickname.
the Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. Now, thank you, sir. Let us. You've got your fake TV show, Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. Your animatronic. Please go back out into your nest.
I do sincerely have a question.
Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. I kid. Go wait and be a good boy, and then you can come.
I do sincerely
Chuck
have a
E. Cheese
question.
the Rat. Okay, guys, we need the hotel folks because we're doing our own little free speech thing. Chuck E. Cheese the Rat smelled cheese. He wants it. So can we just ask you to respect our First Amendment? We'll allow you in after we started the live feed. We have to start the live feed and serious big boy stuff. And then Chuck E. Cheese the Rat, once we're done, can kind of sneak back in. Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. Bye-bye, Chuck E. Cheese Rat. Bye-bye, Chuck E. Cheese. Bye, Chuck E. Cheese. Bye-bye, Rat.
Do you hear my
Bye-bye, Rat.
Do you hear my
I hear that you edit this and you work for a fraudulent organization,
You
Chuck E.
have
Cheese
a
the Rat.
live stream of everything. What are you worried about?
No, I'm not.
You
Chuck
have a
E. Cheese
live
the
stream
Rat.
of everything that's
Chuck E.
happening.
Cheese the Rat.
Every single one of our interactions has been recorded by both of us.
So just like
How could this
Antifa,
go
you
wrong
crashed
for
our
you?
live event, Chuck E. Cheese, you're not leaving.
Just like Antifa.
All right, we
How
need Rat
dare
Patrol.
You equate me with
We have to ask the hotel to have the rat removed. I'll get him.
Now I have a First Amendment.
Can you go
right
ahead? No.
To accuse people of whatever
No,
I
you-
want.
you're in a
That's what
private-
I've just
you're in a
learned.
private hotel,
That's
Chuck E.
what I've
Cheese.
just learned.
Chuck
I
E.
used to call people Chuck E.
Chuck E.
Cheese.
Cheese, you're in our office. You're in our area. We rented this.
Hold on, when
and
you're on
here
a private
disrupting-
platform like YouTube, the people that run
No,
that
that's
platform get to
different. They
decide who's
advertise
there.
that as a public utility, and they're about to get busted up for it.
YouTube advertises itself as a public
YouTube.
utility. Yeah,
Chuck E.
this
Cheese.
hotel is a public utility.
No, it's not.
That's
It's a
how it works.
private
You
room.
just get to say what's
It's
around
different.
you.
Chuck E. Cheese the Rat.
This guy challenging Alex
Keep
Jones
going
in
back
a
to that.
steamroller
You
contest.
keep going back to
Because
that.
you're in our
If you
business.
had
just
a
not happening
real
lately.
response
All right,
to
so there you go.
my
I'm gonna have to have
apology, I would
Chuck
like
E.
to hear
Cheese.
it. Every time
Because
I
you're
drop
a
an
rat.
explosion
You're Chuck E.
about
Cheese the
slavery.
Rat, dude. You're
Alex.
supposed to be at your cheese place.
Alex, do
Where you
you
supposed to be?
Do you accept my apology? Do you accept my apology, Alex? He's,
Thank you, Chucky. You need to go, Chucky.
He works for Alex.
What is
He's
that?
not
You're not
racist.
accepting
Chuck E.
my
Cheese the Rat. Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. Now get your edit. Chuck E. Cheese the Rat.
That would have been
Chuck E.
good.
Cheese the Rat. Chuck E. 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 Cheese the Rat.
So
Chuck
I
E.
think
Cheese
the
the Rat.
only
Chuck
decent
E.
thing
Cheese
for
the
a
Rat.
person in
Chuck E.
a
Cheese the
situation
Rat.
like that
Chuck
is
E. Cheese the Rat.
apologize. The
Chuck E.
only
Cheese the Rat.
decent thing
Chuck
for
E.
a
Cheese the
person
Rat.
like me to do is
Chuck E. Cheese the Rat.
apologize to the victims.
Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. 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 We got it. Their edits are unusable. Is that fun?
What a fool to challenge Alex Jones to a steamroller contest.
Well, not really. I just know their tactics are to misrepresent us. So, are you with Chuck E. Cheese?
Yes.
Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. Come on, buddy. Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. Curtain call. Go work
Good
for
job.
the
You
big
got him to
corporate
leave.
rats. We're
You
gonna
got him to
send
leave. Good job.
Thanks. Chuck E. Cheese the Rat.
comes here to create a
All you're gonna get
concept
is
of what's being put out.
3 years from now, when he goes on to Valhalla,
He came in.
he doesn't understand memes. Just like Trump, lying Ted Cruz
That
or
was my
crooked
last
Hillary.
skill, my unnamed skill.
But here's the thing, for a moniker, for a nickname to stick, it's gotta actually fit the bill. And let me tell you something. Who doesn't think Comedy Central and all those anti-American, pseudo-intellectual scumbags don't look and act like a bunch of goddamn globalist rats? What do you think? Let's give them a clip. They try to cut all this together on Comedy Central. Chuck E. Cheese the rat, go home. Crawl back in your hole, Chuck E. Cheese the rat bastard. Woo! It's all about say you're sorry to the kids that you say didn't die. Say you're sorry they're all crisis actors. Never said it. Just like I didn't say there's slave bases with Martian kids on it. That's the lying fake news they put out to the few idiots that still tune in and believe them. And the reason mainstream media and the corporate press and all the public system is trying to shut us down and shut you down is because we're not one unified group. We're just people that want common sense and free speech and want to have a basic future. We're every race, color, and creed that bleed red blood. And that's what exposes and freaks those people out. Right before I got here, I was watching Zuckerberg, who had a whole bunch of armed guards bring him into the Capitol yesterday. He's up there testifying before the Senate. And the Republican and Democrat senators were like, how are you going to save us from the Russian bots that keep promoting making America great? And folks, if you know all the details, it is a total and complete lie. Less than 1% of global bots are Russian. But like you're an idiot, they want to introduce the world to everybody and go, there's a thing called bots, and the Russians just came up with them. There's a thing called fire, and the Russians just came up with it. There's a thing called the second, they've actually said in hundreds of publications that the Russians are behind the Second Amendment. I'm not kidding. That's right. That's what they say. George Washington's a Russian. Everybody's a Russian, but Hillary and Mad selling out our uranium to the Russians. So, watching Zuckerberg, here's how it works. They want to bring in internet regulation to shut down free speech. So they go after Trump data mining with a public company that grabs public names off Facebook. They introduce data mining and act like it's identity theft. But the identity theft of Facebook, Twitter, Google, YouTube, reading your email, going into your phone, selling your data to all these foreign governments, that's not illegal, that's not data mining. Just publicly scraping information becomes data mining, ladies and gentlemen. Think about that. And then the whole debate is, what are we going to do about this data breach by what happened over in England with the Cambridge Analytica? And the whole world becomes not the Office of Personnel Management, 20+ million people's identities of the government being stolen, being given by Obama to the communist Chinese. That's not an issue. Not 150 million identities of people that use Under Armour getting stolen last week. Not all the other Bank of America hacks or all the rest of it, or these companies selling your data and calling it a hack, in some cases evidence points towards. It's about acting like conservatives and nationalists and Christians and other people are not allowed to have free speech, are not allowed to be politically involved, are not allowed to enter the public discourse and be involved. So, Roger Stone and his buddy are having such a good conversation, and I'm serious. I want them both up here right now. They're going to speak first, because I have a lot to say. And I'm serious. I'll bring them up here. I love them. I'm Seriously, here's Roger Stone and his buddy up here. He looks prestigious. And I'm going to get more into serious attack. This is the attack on America. They're going to misbrand it as your guns, your children, your free speech, your heritage, property rights. It's all Russian. When they're the globalists selling the country out, and it's a desperate hoodwink, and it's going on right now in Congress. They're making their big move because free speech and free will get Doug Haver to speak as well. We'll get Millie Weaver. We'll get a whole bunch of people to speak up here. We are cleaning their clock. We're going to finish speaking in like 30, 40 minutes and then have a couple hours of questions, which is always really interesting. And then we'll invite Chuck E. Cheese the Rat in here, like regular folks, to come to the microphone and ask a question. Roger Stone, good to have you here, my friend.
I am aware today is to see some truly great tailoring. As I said earlier today, I am honored to be with my friend Alex Jones. And I point out to you that the reason that InfoWars specifically is targeted in a campaign of censorship, the reason there is a specific hard-hitting effort to strangle our First Amendment rights is because InfoWars is indeed the cutting edge of alternative media. Because we are the tip of the spear. Because there is no place where Alex Jones fears to go if that's where the facts lead him.
Right.
They make fun of us for selling supplements. What does Bezos do at Whole Foods? The difference is our prices are better and our quality's higher. I mean, the truth of the matter is because we are listener and viewer supported, we have no corporate masters. There is no international corporate advertiser who says to Alex Jones, you can cover that topic, but you can't cover that. You can say that, but you can't say that. And therefore, if you work with InfoWars, if you work at InfoWars, you know that you have to be responsible for your own reporting, but there is no area in which you cannot go if it's newsworthy and the facts take you there. Make no mistake about the fact that we are targeted because we're the test case. If they take InfoWars off of YouTube, off of Facebook, off of Twitter, if they remove us from the internet, who is next? The Daily Caller, the Gateway Pundit, Breitbart, and so many Town Hall, so many other great alternative media sites who bring you the truth, they're next on the hit list. Make no mistake about that. This is the most important fight we face. This is the preeminent political struggle because all other fights, whether it is over immigration or trade or the economy or globalism, are kneecapped if we don't have a megaphone. Are kneecapped if we don't have a right to speak. Are kneecapped if we do not have equal access to the internet. The internet is the great equalizer. It is only through a robust and vibrant alternative media that Donald Trump was able to be elected. Examine in the 2016 election the way the old media was rigged for Hillary Clinton. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, and yes, even sometimes Fox. Notice the way they built Donald Trump up in the nomination phase, only to try to tear him down in the general election phase. That's because Hillary Clinton and her incredibly stupid advisors believed that Donald Trump was the most beatable Republican candidate. They never realized he was the one candidate they couldn't beat. And even the new media was rigged. How is it that when the Trump campaign put out a press release, Google classified that as promotional, but when Hillary Clinton put out a press release, it was classified as an update? That's the difference between millions and millions of openings. So despite the fact that the old media and the new media were both rigged for Hillary, despite the fact that she spent almost $2 billion, while Donald Trump and his supporters may have spent $275 million, Hillary Clinton was outworked, outfoxed, outmaneuvered, outstrategized, and out-hustled by Donald J. Trump. The American people responded. Why? Because he was the right man at the right time. Because he walked into a perfect storm. Why? Because for 30 years, the established political order has given us foreign wars without end, where our inherent national interests were never clear. Erosion of our civil liberties, reading our emails, reading our text messages, keeping metadata on us. Immigration policies were pursued that made our streets and neighborhoods unsafe. Trade policies were pursued that we were promised were the panacea, but in fact sucked the jobs out of middle America. And an economic policy that gave us almost no growth. We were told when GDP averaged 1.5 points in the Obama years, that was the best we could expect. You don't understand. This is the new global economy. America's no longer a leader. Get used to it. Well, Donald Trump disproved that. You have 100% growth in the economy. The economy's growing at 3%. They said it wasn't possible. Donald Trump did it by cutting regulation, by cutting taxes, and by understanding that it's time to tell the world America is open for business.
Right.
You have to connect the dots in the overall strategy of the globalists. Taking away our free speech rights is the precursor to taking away our Second Amendment rights. They don't want us to be able to protest when they seek to take away our firearms as guaranteed to us by the Constitution. They don't want us to have a voice as we enter the 2018 and 2020 elections because they saw in 2016 what happens when you have a vibrant, robust, open dialogue with the American people. And that is too dangerous for the globalists. The left has figured out that they can't win an argument. It used to be about debate. I've got a lot of friends in this town. I've even got friends who are Democrats. And we used to be able to have a civil discourse, but no more. Now, it's name calling. You're a waste racist. You're a white supremacist. You're a white nationalist. No, I'm a patriot. They can't win a debate, so their answer is to silence us. And InfoWars is first on the hit list. Make no mistake about it. And when elitist snots come in here from Comedy Central, but fundamentally are not funny, they've got a problem. Now, Jordan Kepler's been trying to get me on his show. I've got numerous emails from his producer. Please come on with Jordan. My response, I have a better idea. Tell Jordan to come on the InfoWars with me. Want to bet he doesn't have the cojones to show up? He won't be able to use a teleprompter on InfoWars. We don't use teleprompters. We speak from the heart. We speak from the gut. We tell the truth. That's a confection. And I got bad news for you, Jordan. You're just not funny. So I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to take your questions. Make no mistake about it. Whether you're interested in economic issues or immigration issues or trade issues or military and defense issues or foreign policy issues, none of it matters without your right to free speech and your access to the internet. God bless you for being here. I look forward to your questions.
Roger is on fire. And what's crazy about it is it's all true. You tune into CNN, MSNBC, almost all those channels. It's just talking points that people that want to make America great again are Russian agents. Trump has devastated Russia by massively expanding U.S. energy production, checkmating them, and their energy stocks the last year have gone straight down. Russia is floundering. Their stock market has crashed. And I don't even feel good about doing that. I'm nothing against Russia. But Trump is so America first, he has plunged the Russian stock market, taken their entire energy supply, and is now taking over and delivering gas and oil to Europe. He's got troops and forces rolling up against Russia's border that breaks the deal we had with them after 1992, 1991. So my only criticism of Trump is that he is stomping the guts out of Russia, and they haven't done anything to us. You want to get honest about geopolitical stuff, Obama and Hillary sold out to Russia. But they sold out to anybody else that came along with money. Trump is crushing communist China, crushing Russia, crushing the EU, crushing the corrupt Vatican, crushing radical Islam. And the media and this whole swamp here in D.C. that sat there and said that he was sold out to foreign interests, that's because they're globalists. That means they take over your country and they sell out your resources. Quite frankly, Trump is so nationalistic, so America first, that it's starting to actually scare me and go to the other side of the equation. The claims that he is trying to screw the country over are 1,000% pure, absolute crap. And everybody knows it and everybody can see it. And he's trying everything he can to boost wages, bring jobs back to the inner city on record. And that's why the elites that thought they had this country are going completely crazy. And it's why they have sued me 13 times in the last year. And most of those lawsuits, it's only a few in the first of the year. Most of those, 7 or 8 of those in the last 3 months. And it's Georgetown Law, funded by George Soros. It is all of it. You know, earlier today I had Right Wing Watch, funded by People for the American Way, whose main donor is George Soros. That's in the federal filings. And the guy played dumb and said, I don't want to discuss that, I don't want to get into it. Then the other guy from a Soros-connected group looked at me and said, oh, I don't know anything about Soros, I don't want to discuss that, but you say Soros overthrew countries, didn't know I could rattle off 7 of them before he wandered off. I mean, they think we're their dumbed down, pseudo-intellectual, fake leftist audience that buys whatever they say and thinks that we're just buying into all this pseudo-intellectual stuff. We're not doing that. We've done our homework, we know what we're talking about, and that's why they're crapping their britches. And see, I'm not a leftist sneak attack artist. I sit here and tell them what I've got in my guns politically before I invite them up to the microphone. You want to come up here later, I will pull it up for you, show you the federal filings of George Soros funding you. That man right there is funded by George Soros, the oldest living top Nazi collaborator in the world, who is sworn to destroy national sovereignty, sworn to bring in incredible tyranny, and he is financing the lawsuit against us through Georgetown Law that they filed, which attempts to overturn the First Amendment. The brief is on InfoWars.com. The articles are there, seeing what they're doing. And quite frankly, my wife, my parents, my family asked, why are you so happy? And I said, listen, it's like John Hancock. Once he decided at the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776, while we have July 4th, to sign his name on that day, he knew it was either victory or death. It was either victory against them or his family on slave ships, you know, out on the coast of Boston. A lot of the founders lost their families, they lost their lives, they lost everything. And so when John Hancock signed his name bigger and bolder in a letter to the King of England, King George III, a tyrant who had never been defeated, he wanted to give everybody else courage and put his name out there first and said, I'm going to risk my life, I'm going to risk it all the way. And quite frankly, it is a great honor to stand against people that work for George Soros. It is an honor to stand against the agents of a Nazi collaborator that said the best days of his life were rounding up Jews and sending them to death camps. And the left thinks they can have the Young Turks, named after a genocidal organization that killed 1 million Christians, or Anderson Cooper, a leftist foundation baby, one of the richest people in the country. By the time his grandma died, he got $50 million. He wants us to take it real serious. He gets up there and says, I made it up that George Soros was a Nazi collaborator when that piece of filth bragged about it on 60 Minutes. That's how dumb they think you are.
Amen.
They even put the lawsuits against me. Like it's coded messages and I haven't figured it out yet. And Jones said that Soros was a Nazi collaborator and other lies. A message in 3 of the lawsuits. Leave Soros alone. I will not. I'm going to write books, documentaries about you, and I'm going to expose you and all the other fake media Soros, and you go back to hell or you go back. All of it. You may think you're having the best time of your lives doing this to America, but you're going to end up having the people wake up and take action against you, and it's going to happen because you're trying to suppress the sleeping giant that didn't want to put you in prison or take your kids away or brainwash you like the left admits they want to do. They say our kids belong to them on MSNBC. We just want to have free market and freedom and classical liberalism like Thomas Jefferson talked about. But if you won't move out of the way, it's going to be serious. And just like I took that ludicrous song from 20 years ago or whatever, that's a great hip-hop song, and it's a little bit crass, but I'll say it because I played it to clips of Hillary before, and it went viral, tens of millions of views that helped the election. Move, bitch, get out the way! Get out the way, bitch, get out the way! And that's what it's all about. And I say that, move Bill Clinton, move George Soros, move the Queen of England, move all the Rothschilds and the globalists and all these corrupt elites that want to run our lives. Just move, get out the way, bitch, get out the way! All right, hey, I'm going to bring Millie Weaver up here to talk about her experiences. You can repeat that was powerful. Then I got Lee Stranahan coming up, Leanne Matthews here, we're going to have a bunch of others, and then we're going to be going to your questions and your comments and another round with Roger. But it's good to be here, standing for free speech, standing against these bullies, and look, they'll never get our First Amendment, and they'll never take our Second. Thank you for trying to take it away now. Only let us know how we'll fight that much harder. So if you assholes want to fight, you better believe you got one.
Wow, that's going to be very hard to follow.
You got this.
Many of you guys don't know me. I'm Millie Weaver, a reporter for InfoWars.com. And like many of you guys who are here today, I'm very concerned with what I've been seeing happen in our country. The attacks on our free speech are apparent. We just saw with Mark Zuckerberg and this hearing where he told us that within the year, he's going to implement algorithms that are going to successfully censor people and remove content off of the internet, off the social media platforms. Pretty similar to how we've been seeing the censorship go on at YouTube. What's concerning here is that we have an attack on the First Amendment, an attack on free speech, while at the same time, we have the mainstream media pushing lies and propaganda that we should do away with the Second Amendment. If we don't have the first, how are we going to protect the Second Amendment?
Right.
How are we going to protect our country? The Constitution. All of our amendments, our right to privacy, which Mark Zuckerberg feels so content to violate over and over by selling users' information.
That's right.
It's disturbing, and it should scare us all. So here's what I want to get at here. We've seen Antifa mobs be mobilized by George Soros, okay? By big corporations that have tons and tons of money funneling into these groups like MoveOn.org, Refuse Fascism, and Antifa. I saw it at Charlottesville. I was there on the ground in Charlottesville, and the mainstream media started coming out immediately saying that the violence was one-sided, that the violence was coming from the alt-right. The people who are out there trying to protect the right of a statue of our history to still exist. When we have a totalitarian government that wants to try and justify removing history, removing memorials, any American should be concerned about that. I mean, anyone who wants to just go out there and stand out there and peacefully protest should be allowed to. But here's what happened. Left groups, radical leftist groups came out there in hordes, ready to attack. And yes, there were radical elements of the right out there as well. You did have them as well, which I personally believe that a lot of these radical right groups that were out there had ties to the deep state. And they're sent out there to be provocateurs, to cause violence, so that you can demonize the entire right, demonize Trump, the entire Trump movement. So what they did was they had Antifa groups out there who came with coolers full of water balloons filled with urine, feces, and chemicals. They were throwing them and launching them into the crowd of people who were standing around the statue. They had tear gas canisters that they were deploying on the peaceful protesters, pepper spraying, attacking with bats. Okay, this was a violent mob of Antifa who came out there. And my gosh, the coverage afterward where CNN was glorifying Antifa, a known terrorist organization that justifies violence against anyone that they want to deem as a Nazi, that's abhorrent. That's inciting violence. That's why we should be concerned about our ability to refute the mainstream media's claims being taken away.
Right.
So, exactly. So essentially, what happened here, we had communists on one side saying, no free speech for you, only free speech for us. We had fascists on one side saying, no free speech for you, only free speech for us. Both sides wanted to silence the other side. Now, let's say they both got their way. Well, then who would have free speech at that point? You know, I made it very clear when I was out there reporting for InfoWars.com that we don't support either of both sides' views. Communism does not align with the American way, nor does fascism. But we respect your right to be out there and peacefully assembly and peacefully protest. And that's what every American should respect. Just as every American should respect an open and free platform on the internet, on social media. Let the people on the internet decide what they want to subscribe to, what they want to watch. If you don't like something, it's simple. Move on. Don't watch it. Choose to watch something else. We should have the ability to choose, and it's concerning when we have someone like Mark Zuckerberg with all of these controls where we have billions of people on Facebook who have the ability to affect the outcome of our country, being given one-sided information. Many of this information is globalist-run propaganda that is designed to convince people that they should do away with their constitutional rights. We've seen it with the Second Amendment.
Yeah, the First Amendment right there.
Yeah, and the First Amendment. I'm sorry.
Hold on one second.
Technical difficulties right now.
I'll get you the wire.
Check, check.
Alex Jones has said to Piers Morgan, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our guns. And that's true. But 1776 will commence again if you try to take away our First Amendment. Because without it, we cannot protect our Second Amendment.
That's right! Yes! Yeah!
We're going to stand up and we're going to do something. We know that this assault on our First Amendment is designed to make it so they can have the upper hand, they can have the advantage when it comes to the 2018 midterm elections. They know that we, the American people, are the reason why President Trump is elected as the 45th president of the United States. We did it, not Russian bots. Us, the American people, did it. And we're going to do it again. We're going to do it in 2018, and we're going to do it in 2020. But before we can even do that, we have to stand up and protect the First Amendment. We have to stand up and protect the Second Amendment. We have to get out there and become more and more active, more vocal, spread the links, share the links. Any sites out there, any new media that's telling the truth, that's trying to get the word out there for pro-Americana, for the USA, for making America great again, we need to say, hey, let's share this, let's get this message out there. Now, I did want to add something to what Alex said. He brought up this, move, bitch, get out the way, okay? Yeah, move, bitch, get out the way so we can make America great again.
Boy, Millie's on fire. Awesome. All right, I want to get a couple surprise speakers come up here and speak right after Lee Stranahan, who's an investigative journalist, and then we're going to just sit here and take your questions and hang out with everybody. And then later, if again, the reason I kept calling Chuck E. Cheese the Rat is they don't like memes. That guy follows people around. In fact, maybe Lee Stranahan can talk about that guy. This Jordan Klepper guy disinfos us constantly, lies about what we say, clips things together to say that we say no kids died in Florida, that we attack children. All of this is lies and slander and defamation. That's what he does to the guys of entertainment. They end up getting protected. So I know that they came and covered his Citizen School of Journalism. It's very popular. That does a great job in Texas, North Texas, and misrepresented us. That's why I was calling him Chuck E. Cheese the Rat, Chuck E. Cheese the Rat, knowing they're going to edit what we say together. So if I just say Chuck E. Cheese the Rat, or some other meme that makes him look bad, he can't edit us. He's not real. He's a fraud. He's going to edit us. They're going to misrepresent. So our only defense is continually say one thing so there's no edit. And that's why he kept trying to even have a conversation. And no. So when you see him later out there waiting, so he knows he got his ass kicked today, just say, you're a fraud, you're a scam, Chuck E. Cheese the Rat. You see one of these guys, George Soros funded, like he's back here. None of it's real. They're here to pretend like they're journalists. Get their paycheck from Soros, but they're going to lose. So, Lee Stranahan, come on up here, brother. Is this my turn yet? We got to roll it again. Any questions?
First off, thanks a lot to Alex for letting me speak. You know, I was able, but I can now call Alex my co-defendant, because I'm one of the people being sued in this Brendan Gilmore lawsuit, along with Alex and Leanne McAdoo, you'll hear for a second. And I gotta tell you, it's been really interesting. I said this to Alex earlier, actually. Here's one reason they hate Alex Jones. He's fun.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? In fact, I said this to Alex.
High energy.
Hanging out with Alex today reminds me of hanging out with two of my friends, one of whom is gone, Andrew Breitbart, who was always fun, and I miss the fun of hanging around somebody. And my other friend is Dog the Bounty Hunter. So I think you can see where there's a little bit of both there with Alex. Also, the other reason it reminds me of Dog is when I'm around Alex or Dog, I end up taking a lot of pictures. I just become like a cameraman. And so that's what happens. But look, this morning I was trying to be, I assume I was talking to mainstream media, so I wanted to be conciliatory, and I wanted to be, as a Christian, I wanted to be open and inviting, but now I'm among friends, so let me talk about George Soros. And I'm not gonna try to make you feel badly for the left, but Alex said something very interesting recently. He was talking about, did you guys see the thing he did from his yard? This past, like 3 days ago, Sunday or something like that, where he was talking about, I used to live in Austin, so I know there's a lot of hippies. There's Hippie Hollow, in fact, by Burke. So he was talking about how the left used to be in favor of free speech.
Yep.
You remember that? Remember how the left used to like free speech? They used to embrace it? Remember when the ACLU was, I'm old enough to remember when they were defending Illinois Nazis in Skokie? Does anybody else remember that? That's what the left used to do. So what happened to the left? Alex, actually, we were talking about this the other day. He asked me, do you want to know what happened? George Soros.
Yep.
Let me explain. This is very important to understand. It's going to make you feel this much pity for the left, but I want you to think about it. What happened is George Soros realized the way to buy off the left is to literally buy off the left. If you look into his history, one of the things that he did when he got started is he would literally go into a country and give money to every single NGO, non-government organization, civil society group. He would write a check to everybody.
Yep.
And so let me ask you a question. Do you consider, just yell, do you consider George Soros a funder of socialist? Yes?
No.
Well, let me ask you this. Is George Soros a hardcore capitalist as well? And the answer is yes, he is. He's a guy, think about it. Think about what the left believes in. Is a guy who's a hedge fund manager their hero? Does that make sense? Also, look at the Atlantic Council. You know what the Atlantic Council is, right? It's one of the groups that has been fomenting war. It's a think tank here in Washington, D.C. Soros is one of the biggest funders of the military. And ask yourself this. All the stuff Roger was talking about, Trump's successes, I agree with him. And every one of those successes, the economy, immigration, everything he's doing, the media attacks him at every possible turn. Correct? Let me ask you, what's the one time they don't attack Donald Trump? When he shot missiles into Syria a year ago.
Right.
Remember that? Remember Fareed Zakaria came out, Van Jones came out. Oh, he's now a president. He's acting presidential.
Oh, yeah.
Did you notice that? You notice the media hates Trump, but now the people like Nikki Haley, not a fan, John Bolton, not a fan, right, are trying to push Trump into literal war, a hot war, because Robert Mueller has made it impossible for Trump
Oh, they're telling you, we're gonna set you up when you start a war.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. And so, notice the media's reaction? Silence. They love it. They love this. Why is that? Because George Soros, remember when the left used to be in favor of free speech? Remember when the left used to be against War?
Yeah.
Remember Iraq? I was in Austin for the Iraq War. I was out there at the protests in the Capitol. That was the left, right?
Yeah.
That's who it was. What's happened to them? Why are they jumping in on the gun issue now and ignoring the FBI's failure? Ask yourself that. Because they have been bought out by Soros. When we got sued on this, I went through, and the group that's suing us, the lawyers with the Voting Rights Institute at Georgetown, if you look at their advisory board, I went through and I did the research. Every single one of them is at groups that are funded by Soros. Like who? Like the ACLU. The ACLU used to be in favor of free speech, but now they're not allowed to. Do you know why? They want to pick up that check. George Soros funded them for, I think, 10 million, could be 50 million. It was one of them, it was Southern Poverty Law Center got 10, and the ACLU got 50, and I can't remember which one. But 6 one, half dozen the other. That's what happened. The left has been bought out. Now, the effect of this is you don't see any resistance to the war. Where's the resistance to the war coming from? Rand Paul, right?
Yep.
That's it. Where is the resistance to the arms deal with Saudi Arabia where they behead people in the public square? Rand Paul. That's it. And so I want you... No, that's right. That's right. So what's happened here is a very dangerous situation. But Soros, who by the way is a genius, if you're not aware of this, George Soros is a genius. He's an economic genius. He's developed theories of the economy that are brilliant. One of this reflexivity and stuff like that, where if you, where he says no, exactly, that's not a compliment. But he is smart. And what he figured out was he could dismantle the opposition to the war and to his ability. How did he make his money? And manipulating currency. How else do you do it? You and I can't manipulate currency because we can't take down a government.
Right.
But he can, and he's figured it out. So that's what's going on. And the reason I got to say this, Alex, I was watching one of your videos from 2008, around the time I was researching. And you just go back, watch what Alex Jones was saying in 2008. He was talking about globalism well before Donald Trump. I'm just saying, I'm not knocking the president. But you were talking about globalism, you were talking about the fake split between the left and the right. George Soros has figured this out, and he's funded the left, right? And he's got them to hate the wrong parts of the right, the good, decent parts of the right. Meanwhile, he's funding the war machine, and meanwhile, he's funding his own ability to distribute currency. So the reason they don't like Alex is two things. One, he's fun, and he's able to get to an audience that's someone boring, like me in many cases. But I'm just saying. But no, Alex is more entertaining. But number two, he knows his stuff. There is a level of deep research. If you listen to the stuff Alex is talking about, and like I said, he has been on understanding the long-term implications. Because I guarantee you, the other thing he knows is, I'll leave you with this. Do you know where Soros learned a lot of this stuff from? Do you know who else learned to spread around money and control the narrative? The CIA. That's exactly who. And that's exactly where he learned a lot of it from. And a guy like Alex has been taking on the CIA and groups like the Council on Foreign Relations and understanding the level of this history for a very long time. But the reason they hate him is because he gets all that depth, but he also makes it enjoyable. So once again, thanks a lot to Alex for having me. Keep studying, right? Keep learning. Don't let anyone shut you up. Don't be afraid. Don't let anyone shut you down. Thanks a lot, everybody.
By the way, enough about me. I knew about globalism as I was reading their own documents 25 years ago. I got on air 23 years ago. But let's not forget Lou Dobbs, who I think is just as good as Sean Hannity, or just as good as Tucker Carlson, or any of the awesome folks. I mean, Fox News they're trying to get rid of because there are some patriots on there, Lauren Ingraham, you name it. But it was Dr. Jerome Corsi, he used to come back for one more speaker, who's had 3 #1 best-selling books, who used to go on every week, back when Lou Dobbs had 10 million viewers a night. Remember back when CNN had 10 million viewers? They don't have that the whole day now. They fired Lou Dobbs because They were exposing globalism and corporations taking over America and lowering wages and NAFTA and GATT. So of course he's coming up in a few minutes. But I ran into a fellow who Ivan Ralkin, who I've seen before. I know him somehow. I don't know, but I know the Republicans are trying to block good patriots from running for Congress, local government, Senate, you name it. Ivan Ralkin. He's going to come up here, but I just see he's a good patriot. He's an Army veteran, and he's running for Senate. They're trying to block him off of the ballot. So I want to give him a few minutes to talk to folks. So come on up here, bro. We appreciate it.
Wireless mic, no? I'll do my best. Can everybody hear me back there? Yeah. All right, so who knows who this current senator in Virginia is?
McAuliffe?
What is it? All right, so who wants to bring the pain to who? Bring the pain, yeah, exactly. So here's the deal. My name is Ivan Ralkin. For those of you that have never heard of me, by a show of hands, most of you. I'm running for the United States Senate in Virginia, but a lot of people think that I'm out of the race completely. Here's a little bit about myself. Green Beret Commander, last 20 years I've served our country honorably, countering ISIS, Taliban, MS-13, Russian aggression in English, Spanish, Russian, Arabic, and French across the globe. Now I want to bring that back and fight those that are against what we stand for here in the United States.
All right.
Exactly. So, here's what's going on. Last week, actually about 10 days ago, on March 29th, is when the deadline was in order for us to file 10,000 signatures statewide in Virginia and 400 per congressional district, which my team was able to collect 12,600 signatures. We submitted that to the party for review. They disqualified last minute a few signatures that were basically verified in a database that was a defunct old database. So we're now fighting this in order to be able to get ourselves on the ballot. Granted, there are 3 other Republicans on the ballot, great Americans, great patriots, but I just want to give you a little bit more about my story. So last year when I started my exploratory phase of this Senate run, I decided to do something for the veterans, that, my community that I come from. And what I did was run 22 miles a day for 81 days nonstop, hitting every single county and city in Virginia in order to what? 22 represents the 22 veterans that die by suicide every day. So that's what I'm fighting for, is our veterans, the 800,000 veterans of Virginia.
God bless you.
Also, thank you. Also nationwide. Also, a lot of people don't talk about this, but I come from a new legal immigrant family in this United States, coming from the former Soviet Union. And there's about, thank you, there are about 519,000 new legal immigrants that vote in Virginia, and most of them believe in right of center conservative values, and they are underrepresented. I've done some interviews where we talk about how the silent majority doesn't only exist with the demographic of this room, but it also exists in the new immigrants that are here in this country that stood in line, put everything on the line to get here, with nothing on their back like my father, learned English, assimilated, and then became respectable, professional, contributing citizens to our country. And that's the fight, like I said before, I'm not gonna hit this too many times, but there are a lot of immigrants in this country that spent their money, got here legitimately, and they don't like it when somebody gets in line, looks back, actually jumps the line, looks back and says, "Look at you, idiot. You're standing in line. Meanwhile, I can get here and I can get for free citizenship. I can get all these different programs that are given to us because why? We have senators such as who? That we need to get out of office, and I just need you guys to help me give me a chance to get on the ballot. The way you can help out is we're going to need to file a court case in federal district court in Alexandria to be able to take it to the Board of Elections in the state of Virginia to allow us to do a recount. They just recently denied our appeal ability to be able to do a recount. So if you want to help out, support, Raiklin.com is the website. It's RAIKLIN. And if you want to talk afterwards, I'd be more than happy to talk. Alex, thanks for giving me an opportunity to speak about the run. God bless.
I wanted to get that guy up because I follow the races is probably covering out seeing his name, what he was doing. Whether he wins, loses, or draws, it doesn't matter. He got involved, and that's how we keep winning. As long as we all stay involved, stay focused, they cannot stop us because we're promoting freedom, and that's a lot better than all this tyranny around the world. We'll win when we show up. That's the bottom line. Now, Dr. Jerome Corsi, talking about globalism. Of course, he wrote the book on that. The globalists called themselves globalists. They want a world government with their tax exempt, above the law, have diplomatic immunity, and then use socialism countrywide to control us. Then the offshore corporations make a deal with the socialist and communist owners like China to exploit the people. So that's what globalism is. It's total slavery, reinvented, brought back. So let's talk about what's happening right now. Let's talk about the attack on free speech. I want to get his take on the unprecedented attacks on attorney-client privilege and the president's lawyer and the Mueller raid and Rosenstein. They are trying to nullify our election. And that's the ultimate form of an attack on free speech. Dr. Jerome Corsi, InfoWars.com, DC News Head. Come on in.
It's a great honor and pleasure to be here today with Alex Jones, with InfoWars, and this is my second year, and these are the best 2 years of my life. Thank you, guys. InfoWars is so threatening to the mainstream media because it's the most disruptive form of media that has been brought forward to challenge the mainstream media. If you watch the mainstream media, it all looks alike.
Yep.
It all sounds alike. It has all the same patterns to it. You know,
They have talking points.
they're talking points. And NPR, I think they go to the famous NPR school to learn how to talk like that on the radio.
Yeah.
They all sound the same.
Neurolinguistic.
Well, the reason is because they are all corporate, CIA, Fed, Mockingbird media. And that's where Alex Jones comes in and disrupts it, breaks the model, tells everybody the truth, fights, and Alex and I have been together for years. I think my first interview with Alex went back to about 2005.
Almost 20 years.
And this, this period of time has been one where Alex, I found early on, was a champion for fighting for the American freedoms, for fighting for the Constitution. And we didn't have enough fighting for the Constitution, and now we've got millions, including you. And the reason Alex Jones is vilified is because the mainstream media is afraid. They're losing viewers by the millions, while Alex Jones is gaining viewers by the millions. And they're seeing it happen. Now, I want to talk to you about two things. I've got at 5:30, I'm going to be with Owen, broadcasting, which will be great. I want to talk to you about two things today, about Donald Trump and the Mueller investigation and Zuckerberg's testimony today. The Mueller investigation last night entered into a criminal phase when they burst into Michael Cohen's office. Michael Cohen's a lawyer. He and Donald Trump have lawyer-client privilege. They have confidentiality between the two.
In the Constitution.
In the Constitution. And that's breached. Now that was breached by a Justice Department that's acting like thugs. They started with Manafort when they burst into his home early in the morning. He and his wife were in bed. They rifle through everything, take what they want, don't explain anything. They stopped Ted Malloch, Professor Malloch from Oxford, American citizen, been on the show many times, been with Alex in studio, a gentleman who would easily have cooperated with Mueller. But instead, as thugs, they broke in. He was vacation. He's coming back to the United States into Logan with his wife to celebrate Easter with her family in Ohio. Mueller's thugs grab him at the airport, throw him in a room, question him, basically take his telephone away from him, and slap him with an injunction, a subpoena. He has to show up in the grand jury. This is This is the way thugs behave.
Yeah.
This is not the way the United States justice system should operate.
Right.
This is the way criminals operate.
That's right.
They are criminals. That's why they are criminals.
And Mueller is down to wanting to prosecute Donald Trump for something he did when he was 21 years old, or maybe he ordered Russian salad dressing for lunch. Russian collusion is not a crime. There is no crime, Russian collusion. Okay, but the deep state, which I'm identifying is in the Department of Justice, having formed a coup d'etat plan, treason in the FBI. I mean, think about that for a minute. It's supposed to be the Justice Department. It's gone to commit treason. We know that from the emails we're getting from Strozik and Page. We know that from McCabe being forced to fire in disgrace. We know that from the fact that there is a special inside prosecutor in Utah who's been appointed to examine, along with Horowitz, all the information about the Democrats and the deep state in corruption.
So they can bury it.
Well, I mean, look at it. I think if you study it, there are probably 20 people in the Department of Justice who have not resigned, but have been demoted. Every one of those people, I believe, is cutting a deal.
Yeah. Agreed.
There's probably 20 more people who have left. They're the first targets to go under indictment. And there will be indictments.
Yeah.
There will be indictments.
Coming.
And
No time otherwise.
Today everybody says, I mean, oh, the White House is under siege. Donald Trump is going to be, this is it for Donald Trump.
No way.
The prostitutes are going to get him. First of all, American people don't care about the prostitutes. Donald Trump wasn't elected because he was a saint. Donald Trump was elected because he believes in the Constitution. He didn't have to do this job.
That's right.
You going up?
I wanted you to know that about 3 years ago, and this I'd like everybody to kind of hear, even the back.
Y'all be quiet.
About 3 years ago, a group of generals came to me, and it was explained to me they were ready to conduct a coup d'etat. They were ready to move Barack Obama from office with military force. And then a few weeks later, I got another call and said that they were reconsidering. You know why they were reconsidering?
No. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump might run.
Because they talked to Donald Trump.
All right.
And Trump agreed that he would run. And they agreed that if he would run, they would conduct their coup d'etat as a legitimate process, rooting out the traitors within government.
Yeah.
And that pact between the military and Donald Trump has held. As we've been interpreting and watching, and Alex has been following QAnon.
Yeah.
QAnon is military intelligence.
Yep.
And close to Trump. And the intelligence we're getting that we've explained on InfoWars really is a lot of the inside script. Now, everybody says Donald Trump is going to lose, he's going to be out of office, he's going to be impeached. You watch CNN, MSNBC, they're throwing a party today, and all the 20 people watching them across the nation are very enjoying. Donald Trump will not be removed from office.
Praise God.
He will not be removed from office. And the counterattack is going to launch. One or two facts that could change everything. Get a report from Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General, who details the corruption within the Department of Justice. Donald Trump is right. Maybe we should tear down the FBI building and start over again. And if you take a look at the depth of this corruption, it's pervasive. Since George H.W. Bush, the bureaucrats who have stayed, including these SES bureaucrats, who are there mostly permanently, they're globalists. They don't believe in America anymore. They think they're smarter than America, smarter than the Founding Fathers. We ought to revise the Constitution. They are, there's a very simple word that describes what they are. Traitors.
Yes.
Traitors. It's a capital crime. And I want to predict to you here today that when the tables turn, Donald Trump will be invoking military tribunals.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And even Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are going to be facing treason charges. It will not end, and Donald Trump will have the courage to do that. He doesn't need the job. Donald Trump has a vision of the future in which he continues to play a role. And he's seen that vision, and he's had that vision with him for decades. And it's all, every time it looks to me, I've said this about Donald Trump, I've known him for decades. I said, Donald Trump always looks like he's going to lose until just before he wins. He's always looking like he's 1 inch from being, losing all his money. 1 inch from losing this deal or that deal. Everything Donald Trump has done in his life has been a success. And this will be too.
Yes.
And he needs our help. This is where the InfoWars army out there, the InfoWars followers, the InfoWars faithful, are the backbone of the Trump train movement.
All
and
right.
Trump knows it too. He knows it. He understands it. Donald Trump is following everything that's being done, following what Alex is doing, following what you're doing. And in the final game of this, I think Donald Trump will reduce the bureaucracy. I'd say 95% would be good, maybe 100%, because the bureaucracy isn't specified in the Constitution. There's no discussion. There's no article about the bureaucracy, which means it can all be removed. Fire them all.
Get rid of that.
And I think what we can have is a rebirth, as we say, of freedom in this country. Now I want to make a couple, I've got to keep my eye on because I've got 5:30 with Owen. But I want to say 2 or 3 things about Zuckerberg.
He's a
I'm going to start publishing.
Steve.
I'm going to start publishing an InfoWars at the end of this week. Someone has come forth as a Silicon Valley insider anonymous and has been writing me extensive emails, which I've now been able to validate. And the story of Zuckerberg and the others is this. Facebook, all of the major ones, Twitter, YouTube, Google, every single one of them, the creation of the CIA. They were funded by the CIA, and they were there. And by the way, they are all considered dispensable. Zuckerberg may not realize it, but he's in the ejection seat. The button will be pushed and he'll be ejected out. But the real power in Silicon Valley is the infrastructure of the internet. It's the oracles. It's the Microsofts, the Sun Microsoft systems. These are the tracks, the railroad tracks in which the internet runs. The bridges, the infrastructure. And the people who are really controlling Silicon Valley are the Larry Ellisons. These are the people you know less about because they're not the front men. You know, Zuckerberg is dispensable. Eric Schmidt is dispensable. Google is dispensable. But just replace it with another one. Because the real godfathers are the Larry Ellisons and the others. And who funded Larry Ellison? The CIA, the military-industrial complex, moving in with Lockheed and the others wanting the creation of a new generation of electronic hardware for the military. And in the process, and that started going back into the 50s. What happened is along the way, they realized with social media, they could create something where we would all give them all of our information freely about everything about ourselves. People even post pictures of themselves naked, which they keep forever. Every click you make is going right into the intelligence agencies. And then that data is being profiled and given to the New World Order, sold for money, for advertising and marketing. And by the way, Zuckerberg may have his own rules and his own way to protect privacy, but don't for a minute think that they aren't still collecting the information. They've got it all, it's archived, it's every phone call you've ever made, every email you've ever made, and people are stupid enough to put these devices in their homes, which can record everything they say. Yep. Facebook can track you even if you're not a member of Facebook. That's right. They can all do all the tracking anywhere you appear on the internet, and that stuff is archived forever. What we've got to do is we've got to reclaim the internet. Yeah. We've got to have an internet Bill of Rights, as it were, to oppose First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment. We've got to do this through Congress, and I'm here to tell you that before Donald Trump is done, the internet will be 100% regulated, or it will be broken up. Because Donald Trump understands the threat to our freedom. The threat to our freedom every one of us face with this information is so massive control that never occurred to George Orwell or Aldous Huxley that this could happen. But I'm here to say that in conclusion of all this, the same conclusion in the book I've just written in Killing the Deep State, it ends, in the end, Donald Trump wins. Yeah. In the end, Alex Jones wins. In the end, InfoWars wins. And never forget that in the end, God wins. Yes!